Hello, hello. Welcome back to Divorce Happens, the podcast where we support you before, during, and after divorce with education, inspiration, and of course, a little bit of laughter because divorce happens and then you start fresh. And we're here with our friend Kelly. Kelly, who are you? What do you do? Where are you from?
Hey, I'm Kelly McMasters. I'm a mom, I'm a writer and a professor, and I'm divorced.
I love that. Well, one of my favorite things to do on this podcast is to talk to divorced people about what they learned from their divorce because I think that divorce more than almost anything is a learning environment for us to kind of like figure out who we are. So what were the three things that you learned from your divorce, Kelly?
Sure. I love that word environment because there's sort of uh, amorphous borders, right? I think that's definitely one thing I learned. So I was going to use my book today
Yes.
because this cool thing happened this weekend. I was at a reading and this famous poet walked in and she's has this wild poet hair. And I realized it was Marie Howe. And I realized she really helped get me through my divorce. Her poetry in general, I think, is a great thing to get you through because it's short, even if you just have a minute. But I,
Mm,
I used a line from her poem to open my book, so I just wanted to read it here. So the line is, "You think this happened only once and long ago." With a question mark. So that can be read in many different ways, but to me, that line meant in the moment, sometimes it feels like you are so alone. This is happening only to you and has only ever happened to you. Nobody could possibly understand. And what I know now is that is anything but the truth. So,
mm,
just a reminder to, even in those dark moments, reach out, know that you're not alone, and that it has not only happened to you. So, I thought that was a good reminder. Um,
yeah.
the other the other quote that I used was from Willa Cather, The Professor's House, and it is, "The heart of another is a dark forest, always, no matter how close it has been to one's own." And
Mm,
I think that is another quote that reminds me, you have to let go of the fantasy. You have to let go of what you thought was true. And for me, that was probably the hardest part of divorce. Once I was able to do that, my expectations, my hopes, my dreams, my fantasies, and live in the real world again,
yeah.
uh, that made everything possible. And I
Mm,
think that idea of the the dark forest, especially in the depths of the divorce proceedings, which can get so
dark.
emotional, ugly, right? Um,
Yeah.
you don't really know that person the way you thought that you might.
Yeah. Can
Uh,
you read that first quote again to us?
yeah, yeah, for sure. The Marie Howe one.
Yeah.
You think this happened only once and long ago?
You know what I love that too
And
for me, the thing that came up about that is that and I'm sure you this resonates with you. When you go through divorce, you're also relearning who you were as a child, right? And so like there's so many things that you start to put together as like these puzzle pieces of like, no, I actually learned that this was love because I XYZ, right, in my childhood. And so that to me is so resonates with this idea that like we discover who we were more than any other time in our life. For me, it was even more than parenthood, right? That like I had to really uncover this shit that happened to me that I thought that was love, and then I internalized that and used that to stay in a marriage that wasn't loving, right? So I love both of those. They give me chills every, I love your book. I would love for you to, talk about it a little bit. But okay, so love those. So what were the other things that you learned from your divorce?
all right, one last one. So because I did have three poems that start
I love it. We love
pretty long.
poems here.
Um, this one's by Joy Harjo, who's amazing, and this is from her poem "Memory Sack." And there's just three short lines. With our pack of memories slung slack on our backs, we venture into the circle.
Oof.
It just helped me look at divorce as entering into a community. And for the work, I'm going to get a little emotional. I know this
No,
is
I
supposed to be
I I get
funny.
it. I get it. Yeah.
For the work that you do, Olivia, and bringing all these people together and
Oh,
giving them a
thank you.
space. Um, I didn't have that.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons I wrote this book. Uh, what I had were my poetry books, right? Now there is an amazing community available online.
Yep.
There's an amazing community available in your bookshop. Amy Shern, who's another incredible novelist, and if you haven't interviewed her yet, you should. She just posted, she just wrote a great article about 7 novels that'll help you rethink divorce, because her novel, Animal Instinct, comes out today, actually.
Mm, mhm.
And she mentions, Maggie Smith. She mentions the Leaving Season, the memoir
Yeah.
side, but then also novels. There are these communities now that are so available. Thank God,
Yeah.
thanks to the internet, thanks to
Yeah.
podcasts like this, and that memory circle idea, just the idea that it was always there. I just didn't know how to access it. And that's the first thing that I try when people share with me that they're going through this. It's the first thing I try to show them that, welcome. There
Yes.
are many of us, and we are here for you. And that was something I tried really hard to keep everything secret,
Yeah.
silent. It was embarrassing. It was shameful. And once I got over that, everything opened up.
Mhm. Mhm. When did you get divorced, Kelly?
2016 officially on paper, but I
Yeah.
left in 2013.
I was gonna say, I feel like, and maybe you will agree with me, that the last 5 years have really changed the whole narrative, no pun intended, of divorce, right? Even I got divorced in 2019, I separated, and I was the first one of my friends. I didn't have any there weren't memoirs about divorce. There was heartburn. That was it. I had Meryl Streep and I had Nora Ephron. That was pretty much all I had. And so like, and a lot of Carly Simon. And so that was really like all I had. And maybe a couple bloggers were starting to write about it, and now it's just beautiful, like literally library shelves full of divorce memoirs. And I think that also, I'm not surprised that it's all happened this way, because it's quite powerful, right? To have, basically, these are spell books, right, about how to find yourself again, right? And so a lot of people don't want women to read those, and so we are all about those. And I'm excited. I've interviewed many of those authors, and I'm excited to interview more. Can you tell us a little bit about your book, though?
Sure, sure. And when I was writing it, it's called The Leaving Season, a memoir and essays. And when I was writing it, I wanted it to not be, now it sounds pejorative, but not be just a divorce book. I think at the time, it was sort of pushed off into a little corner of the shelf, of like a self-help shelf.
Mm,
It wasn't the shelf that it is now. Uh, but for me, I think any divorce book is not just a divorce book. It's
yeah.
what you said. It's a spell book because it is about a woman finding herself. Usually a woman. Sometimes there are men too, who
Yeah.
write these great books. But for me, it was also the story of finding myself as a mother and learning how to parent, and learning, kind of stepping into that role in a new way as a single parent.
Hmm.
And I think, really, like you said earlier, returning back to my 20s, back to childhood, all of these early, right, home is the first place that we're loved, but it's also the first place we feel fear. It's the first place that we're socialized into our
Yeah,
beings.
our
And so
identity. Yeah.
when we're building our new homes, that's our blueprint.
Yeah.
And unless you work really hard, and you have to first be aware of the blueprint to then work against it, it's almost impossible. And now, still, I can't even believe, so 2016, it's going to be almost 10 years.
Hmm.
Wow, I have to throw a party.
Yes, divorce
um,
party. Yeah.
yes, yes. But even now, I still, knowing it, having written a book, having read all the books,
Hmm.
it's still so easy to slip in, because you're right. They don't want us to read the books. They don't want us to see the blueprints. And so every day we have to sort of put up our dukes and fight for ourselves and for each other.
Yep, 100%. I love that so much. Well, all of Kelly's links will be in the show notes. I have read The Leaving Season. It is on my bookshelf. It is one of my favorites. And you are brilliant, also a Long Island person, so we give you major credit for that over here at Fresh Starts. And Kelly, just thank you for, your authenticity and for being comfortable in your own skin so that other women could find their skin too. So, thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, thanks so much. It was great.